So you're currently doing a full-scale renovation of your home, your new home.
Sure are.
How have you navigated that as a couple? How do you walk that walk?
Oh, yeah, that's been interesting. Again, there's a lot of, I think, especially on my part, I'm a little more prone to this. A lot of self-reflecting and moments of, I'll come back and I'll be all the time. Like we did this happened the other night where I was like, hey, you know how I just said that to this other person? I'm sorry. That had an air of condescendingness, and I never want that in a relationship, and I'm so sorry for that. I will do better next time, like that kind of thing. And like just trying to nip it in the bud. Like I try to keep tabs on that. I come from a somewhat passive aggressive household, and so I'm very, very on top of like never allowing that to happen. And it's a lot of self-regulation and self-reflection. With the navigation, it has we've had more struggles with than we've ever had in our relationship. I think we're doing just fine. But it has been hilarious because I've learned a lot more about the fact that Danny's brain works, unfortunately, much closer to the way my brain works than I ever realized before.
Really?
Yes. Like I always say that my brain, I feel like, is like a computer with like 16 open tabs on it running all the time, which makes me very good at, I'm very good at managing a project. Honestly, if it's one project, I'm not good at managing multiple projects. So now you're looking at multiple browsers with several tabs open at the same time. And that's where we have diminishing return. But like on one project, all these things open and like, I can, like, I've got it. We think ahead. We do the whole thing. An example of this would be like, we were talking about something we were doing in the kitchen, like where we're putting this versus where the sink's going versus where the stove's going, that kind of thing. And like, we were in there, we talked about it. I drafted it for him to look at. We stood in the space. We did this. We, in my opinion, agreed on something. Like he was like, yeah, that sounds good. I think that's what he said. Yeah, that sounds good. And I was like, great. And then like a week and a half later, he's like, well, maybe we should consider this, and brought up something we had already discussed and removed. And I was like, well, we're not going to do that because I've already ordered everything for this, for it to get here in time for us to do the thing. Like that's all been managed and taken care of. But for him, I don't know if he either just didn't realize we had made a decision or, his tabs were going, and so he was only kind of listening and kind of processing at the same time. And then like when this closed down, he was like, oh, la la la. And I'm like, no, my friend, that ship has sailed. Like we have already bought that and that is over, And so that was very interesting. So I've actually learned to give him the courtesies that he's learned to give me that I just didn't realize he needed. And something that would be like, when he's doing something, I'm like, hey, is now an okay time to ask you about a thing? Like, are you able to, is this a good moment for you to focus on, the paint color, the this, the that? Like, is it okay? And then he can like take himself out and shift and go, or not. Or he can be like, actually later would be better, And that's been very helpful in our relationship. But it has been an interesting learning curve. Like, yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, a whole home renovation is a pressure cooker for any couple.
Yeah. So in that case, I think we're crushing it.
Yeah, absolutely.